In the name of Amen, the Supreme, the All-Powerful, the one and only true Lord, and Amen I trust, and Amen I thank, and Amen I continue forward, and Amen I do this video to set the record straight. I am the intellectual Nuben Menkares, and I'm setting the record straight again about this individual, Nicholas Jackson, who has attempted to plagiarize my teachings. He has did it again, and I'm going to go over every last subject that he has copied from me, that he has plagiarized from me, and I'm going to give the real teaching, the real transmission on this topic. No one's supposed to be listening to this broadcast, but it's fine, though. You listen. But I'm going to give this the breakdown of the DEA that he's talking about. He does in a clumsy way. He's trying to basically take from me, because that term DEA, prior to that, it was DNA, right, which I said is for the humans, which is deoxynucleic acid. Deoxynucleic acid. This is what your so-called scientists talk about in the building of the human genetic material, the DNA. I introduced the DEA, which is the deoxy electro or liquid alkali. Deoxy electro alkali, not acid. When somebody asked Nicholas in his comment section what was DEA, he said deoxy electro, and then he said acid or alkali. It's either acid or alkali. Acid and alkali are not the same thing. All right? It is not. Acid and alkali are totally different things. Two totally different forms of energy, right? And that state of pH, right? So he said that it's either alkali or acid. So he said it like he heard it from somewhere before. He was not definitive on that. I said alkali. You see, he needs to go back and listen to the broadcast in which he stole that information from, or that intel from, which came directly from me first. Now, people will say, I don't own any intel, that this is not my knowledge, I don't own any knowledge. I do if it comes from me first. That would be true statement if I copied from somebody, or I heard this knowledge of the DEA from somebody. No, but the DEA came through me. And I said this before, and I say it again, that the alkali, or the alkalinity, right, the alkalinity of a person's genetic material is, can be summed up in how we process power, how we process all forms of fuel, and how we move forward toward that. That is the difference. We have a degree of alkalinity and acidic, pH in our body, right? Or what they call potential hydrogen, right? We all have that in us, and if one is off balance to the other, and it could cause a shutdown in our bodily functions. If our body tends to be too acidic, right, it has to be balanced. And so I gave this breakdown, right, in my attempt to get this breakdown of our genetic material, because we cannot have the same DNA or deoxynucleic acid as everybody else. We cannot have the same genetic material or that is everybody else. So I introduced the alkali factor, because notice, and it's not until our body is alkaline, I'm talking about us as bronze people, it's not until our bodies is in a state of alkalinity that we tend to process and our vitals and our organs work as it's supposed to work. But when we're too acidic, when we tend to lean more toward, eating the artificial foods and things of the humans and the, genetically modified things, and you eating their diet, our body tends to produce more acid, and it throws off the flow and the function of our body, because we're working against that which our genetic material is based in the foundation of our genetic material. The foundation of our genetic material is alkalinity. And if that is off, we tend to become more acidic, and our body functions tend to stop, working as they're supposed to. We end up having kidney problems, our kidneys shut down, all kinds of things happen when there's too much acid. We end up getting uric acid and things like that. We get all this extra because, the acid, it causes arthritis, it causes erosion to our joints and things like that. And like I said, we have that level of acidity in our stomach to dissolve food, but like I said, we're not supposed to add so much more of that in the eating of a lot of meats and things like that. That's why birds and fish was a big part of our diet, as we were coming up in this world, coming up in the ancient world. We tend to eat birds and fish. We didn't eat a lot of heavy acidic meats. That was more or less for those who carried the genetic material of the animals. I said, humans, they carry more genetic material of animals. This is why this is why they're able to digest more acidic foods. They're able to eat more heavier meats and things like that. Even though after a while they even end up getting cancer and they get sick because they can't digest it. But they're able to, and they have more of that craving for it than we do. You see, these types of protein, they do not work well with with us as a people. We don't process a lot of this heavy protein like these humans do. And when I say these humans, I mean the Caucasians, these Asians, these East Indians. They tend to eat all kinds of strange diets. They eat all kinds of strange animals, different types of protein that cause a heavy acidic activity in their body, which they can take much more than we can. That's why they can eat all kinds of, like I said, strange animals and, genetically modified foods and things like that. And they can thrive on artificial food. They thrive on that. We need more natural food that's rich in alkalinity. We need that. The types of water we drink, you see. We need that because it is in alignment with the alkalinity of our bodies, the pH factor in our bodies, because water, and I said this before, water stores different in our body because of the pH factor in our body. Hydrogen processes breaks down different in our body than it does with the rest of these humans. You see? Like a good example of that is when we drink water, where it hydrates us, it helps to bring out, the moisture in our skin and thus produces a sheen to our skin, right? It produces a sheen, which is an oil to our skin and to our hair when we tend to drink water, because that is the factor of alkalinity, or that DEA that I was explaining, that Nicholas Jackson, a.k.a. Zzzrayass, knew Clezz, the copycat, was trying to clumsily, he tried to explain in a clumsy way, because this is what happens when you plagiarize and copy from people, and you don't really know what you're talking about. You're just trying to copy, and you're trying to sound deep and heavy and trying to plagiarize people's words. And so I said, let me give a brief breakdown on this. And in one of my videos, I went into further breakdown on the DEA of our people, and I based it a lot on what Dr. Sabi was saying about alkalinity in our diet and how we need more of alkalinity. And because we lost a lot of the alkalinity in our diet due to the fact that we've been eating a lot of these heavy and processed meats, right? And a lot of these processed foods, which has thrown off our pH balance, right? That's why our skin looks dry. This is why we get all kinds of rashes and eczema and things like that, because the pH in our body is thrown off. We're not moving in alignment with the DEA of our body, the deoxy-electro-alkali genetic material, or that pH factor in our body. You see, it's how we process water, process food. You see, whenever there's heavy meats and things like that, heavy protein, we don't process this well. Okay? We don't process any of this well. So, like I said, I wanted to give the breakdown, and I'm going to give another breakdown. I'm going to continue to give breakdowns periodically. I'm only going to take a short period of time to do it, like 15 minutes, to give the breakdowns on the things that these people botch up. I didn't even want to listen to his video because anything that he's saying is stuff that he's making up. Part of the mass majority is copied from the other stuff he didn't really understand. He's trying to fill in the blanks and starting to make up things and lie just because he wants to be heard. I told you, be mindful of these people who are out here so-called being receivers and teachers, because they looking at me, and these people got these jealous and envious things with it going where they want to copy me and they want to make it about them, and they want to steal somebody's shine or light, or they want to try to shine themselves off of somebody else's foundation. Nicholas Jackson, Zzzrayass, New Brighton, James Smith, these people are no different. These are former members of the Republic of Mentellect who were faded to black, who were put out of the Republic of Mentellect because they couldn't pay their dues, right, which they signed up for. So anybody who will sign up for something and give their word to something and they don't live up to that, or people who will sit up here and plagiarize another person's work and try to build a foundation off of somebody else and act like, they're not copying from nobody, not giving acknowledgement of where they're copying from. That says something about somebody's character. And it blows my mind that people will sit here. This shows you the minds of black people, that you will, the ones of you in his comment section, you will sit up here and you will give, to somebody who's copying from another person. Somebody who's repeating it and doing a bad job at it, I might add. Somebody who's doing a bad job at it. Copying, when you could go and listen right to Mentellect Radio. You can go listen to all these broadcasts out there and put down, why go into a thorough breakdown of everything I say. I don't have to do any secondary copies of it or plagiarism of anybody. And like I said, this is my knowledge because it came through me first, and therefore I am responsible for it. You see, just like anything that comes through you and comes out of your mouth first, you are responsible for it. And yes, I am sharing it with the world, but I'm talking about those people who are going to go out here and get it. You're not supposed to take it and repeat it and not even know what you're talking about. Because you cannot build off of another man's foundation, nor can you copy off of another man's work. You see? And like I said, it's sad that you have black people who sit up here and think there's nothing wrong with that. Think there's nothing wrong with somebody plagiarizing another person's work. We are supposed to be a people who are known for our originality, for our creativity. So it shocks me when I see people sitting up on Zzzrayass, Zzzrayass, Clezz, whatever these clowns call themselves, former flunky and follower of the Republic of Mentellect reject, sitting up here giving props to a copycat and a plagiarist who's copying my work. It just blows my mind. Y'all should be ashamed of yourself, those of you who are subscribing to this next nuclear radio garbage that he's doing, Nicholas Jackson. Right? You should be ashamed of yourselves. This is totally not what we as a people are supposed to be about. We don't take from other people. We don't steal from each other's work. We don't copy off each other's paper like we in kindergarten, in junior high school, or high school somewhere. We don't copy off of somebody else's work and try to pass it off as our own. You see, that's just some straight black devil nonsense. And we have to learn better than them. We have to learn better than this, and we should not encourage things like this. Okay? We should not encourage this type of behavior. I'm going to be doing, like I said, I'm going to set the record straight on all this stuff, all of the broadcasts that he's copied from me, and the titles he's copied, and how he's butchered my work, taking it like it's coming from him, and he's sharing it with you all. His biggest views come from when he copies Mentellect. And it's sad that that's happening. But that's it. I'm going to close out in the name of Amen, by the power of Amen. And Amen I trust, and Amen I thank, and Amen I continue for forever. Got more videos coming on this fraud and this copycat, Nicholas Jackson, a.k.a. Zzzrayass, Clezz, and this other guy, James Smith, a.k.a. New Brighton, who claims he about to come with a new channel. We'll see about that when he's not copying me. All these fake teachers. Down with all these fake teachers. Good night,